Package has arrived today from OSH Park. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to assemble one of the PCBs that are in here. And assuming all of that works and the thing I've designed works, then I will share the PCB on OSH Park. I'll put a link in down below to it where you can order your own PCB if you want to make your own one of these things. So just dive right in there. PCBs are down here, so I'll cut up here, cutting towards myself because that is the least safe way to do it. There they are. Sticker as always. Perfect purple PCBs. Indeed, and here they are. It is a personality chip to DIP-8 adapter. What does that mean? What that means is I'm going to put a socket in here on this side. I'm going to put some pins in on this side. I'll be able to insert a personality chip into the socket here, put it into a programmer, and be able to program the personality chip with the memory chip already attached to the PCB without having to clip anything onto it. It's going to be wonderful. Okay. First step, as with all OSH Park PCBs, it's got these little pointy bits on it. I need to get rid of those, and the quickest and best way that I know how is with a big file. I don't use a Dremel or anything like that because as I file it down, I'll be putting the PCB edge along the file here, so I'm going to get a perfect flat edge here, all four edges, when I'm done. Whereas if you're with a Dremel and you're trying to do it by hand, you run the risk of either gouging your PCB, or you'll have to leave a little bit of a nub there so that you don't gouge the PCB. And I want the edges to be perfectly flat. And this takes very little time. It gives me a very smooth edge very easily. Okay, next step. Let's talk about parts. So you're only going to need two parts here. You're going to need some of these 2.54 millimeter pitch DuPont or DuPont style, you might see them referred to as pin headers. So I need 2 sets of 4 for each of these rows here. And they just snap right off. In fact, I don't probably even need anything to assist me with. There's 4. There's another 4. You can get like packages of 100 of these 40-pin sections off of eBay for just a couple of bucks. They're really cheap and easy to find. You'll have no problems finding those for not a lot of money. And those are going to go in like that. I'll just solder them from the top. Shall I do that now? Might as well. Bring in the soldering iron and tin the tip a little bit so it has better heat transfer when I'm soldering. Okay, and I'll zoom in real quick so you can get in on the exciting soldering action. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to purposely just only get one pin on each side, and this would be so much easier with like a helping hands, but I'm purposely not using helping hands here just to show you that you don't need them. You can do this without that. An easy way to do this is if you have a breadboard, put the pins in the breadboard, put this on top of it, and that'll hold everything in place. Now I'm looking to see if those pins look straight, and they're just a little bit off, so I'm going to reflow the solder on each side here, and with my finger making sure I'm only touching the pins that I'm not going to apply the iron to, because you'll burn your finger if you screw this up and apply heat to the wrong pin, or put your finger over the wrong pin, and just push down and wiggle it a little bit so it gets more vertical like so. And I'll do the same thing with the other one, and I've backed myself into a corner. I could only grab the one pin there. Looks somewhat okay. Yeah, I'm gonna be finicky about this. Fine, good enough. So I'll just, now that the one pin on each side is soldered, it will hold them in place as I solder in the rest. So here are the card edge sockets that I have. This, oh, that's where those went. These I got off of eBay. 10 for about $10, including shipping. So about $1 a socket here. All you want to do to find these on eBay is you want to search for 7x2p, so 7 times 2 pins, so 14 pins, 14p there, 2.54 millimeter edge slot or edge socket or just edge. You will find people on eBay selling these from Taiwan, I think it is, for, again, 10 of them for about $10. So if you've got a couple of friends who also want to do this, maybe you can spread these out, or you start making your own adapters and sell them yourself if you want. I don't care. This is why I open this up to everybody, so they can do whatever they want with this stuff. So I'm going to take one of these, and it should just fit in right like that, and I'm just gonna try and solder this thing into place, and then that should be it in theory. So sort of like the pin headers, I'm just going to solder one pin and just make sure that the socket is level in place where it should be. And that looks good. So now I'll just go and solder the rest of the pins, and at this point I don't think you need to sit here and watch me, and oh my, that is terrible. Alright, so before I test this out, I want to address something real quick, which you're going to notice, and I figured I should mention it, is you're going to see a couple of extra wires in there and a capacitor that are not normally there. Don't worry, this isn't something you really have to do. This is just a modification that I saw somebody talk about online to sort of run the microcontroller here at 3 volts instead of the 5 volts off of the USB power supply. And I wondered if it was going to make this writer better, more stable, more, I don't know, something. And in my testing so far, it hasn't done made any noticeable difference. So I don't think you need to worry about this modification. But I'll include a link down below in the description in case you want to read up on this and why some people have tried to make this modification to run that microcontroller at the 3.3 volts coming out of that voltage regulator instead of the 5 volts coming out of the USB supply that's in your from the computer socket. Anyways, so I'm going to plug this in like so, and we'll come over and I'm going to break out my personality chip with the LED on it that little custom mod from a few videos back, just so I know that there's power coming to the chip. And I'm going to put that into the socket, and the socket you can put the personality chip in either way. Both sides of the socket are wired up. I'll just put this into the programmer. Let's make sure I got this right. Yes, like so. Close that. LED comes on. I see light. Good. The chip is not getting super warm, which can happen. I have put this chip, or wired this chip up wrong. I've reversed the clips before, and the chip will get really hot. But somehow, so far, despite tons of current being dumped into that chip, it hasn't burned out. So these wind bond chips are really hardy. Okay, anyways, enough talking about that. We'll come over here now to the programmer. Okay, so it says down in the bottom corner here on the right, it says it's connected, and I'm going to hit detect here. Where are you? There you are. And it has correctly detected that this is a 2 megabyte chip. So I'm going to open my Buzz with flashing action. This is in the last how to make a personality chip video. I talked about how to add metadata for the accessory, so the lights blink When the accessory sounds happen, that version of the ROM comes from that video. So I'm going to first hit the erase button to erase the chip. And now I'm going to hit program. And then we sit and wait while this counts up. It's very exciting. And you think this is slow. I have some 64 megabyte chips that fit on the personality chip just to see if it would work. And it does, but yeah, go get yourself a sandwich or something when you hit the program button. Okay, I'm going to hit verify just to make sure that everything on the chip is as it should be. Again, so on a 64 megabyte, not megabit, but megabyte chip, well, now you could go and get your dessert. Good. So that's it. This chip has been programmed. That's it. That is what this adapter does. That's its sole point. And since it works, yes, I will make this personality chip adapter available on OSH Park if you want to go and order a few of these for yourself. I like it. I'm very happy with it. This is what I will be using going forward. No more fidgeting with these things, you know, having to find it and, okay, which one is the right pin? There's the red line there, so that's pin 1. So where's pin 1 on the personality chip? Oops, there's the dots. Now I gotta line all of this up, and is that connected? Are all the pins connected? No, I gotta do this a couple of times, wiggle it, make sure it's on there. Okay, now I got to figure out which end this plugs into, and you know, done. That is so much easier. So I hope it's as useful for somebody else as it is for me. Good luck. Have fun. Whoa, wait, we can't end the video yet. I want to talk about this real quick. This is the TL8662 Plus Universal Programmer. This thing runs about 60 bucks online. You can probably find it cheaper on eBay if you're willing to dig deep and wait probably a month as it ships from China. I have one of these. I like it. It's my preferred device for programming personality chips. But there is an issue with it, and I want to show you by using my adapter here with it. Now I got that in place. Great. Now if we come over here to the programmer window, one thing I should mention real quick before we continue, you do not need this if you're only doing personality chips. This device does more, but if you're just doing personality chips, you don't need the more. The CH341A, the one that costs 10 bucks on Amazon, that's all you need. But if you have one of these and you want to use it, I want to show you how to get around the problem that comes up. So the first thing I want to do is run the equivalent of the detect button in the other programmer, which is this magnifying glass, which has a 25 over it. You click on that, make sure 8 pins is selected because it's an 8-pin memory chip. Click detect, and it knows that it's a WinBond 25Q16. It doesn't know which variety it is. It wants you to tell it that. You don't have to worry about that. You can select the generic one if you don't know. Click select. And I'm going to hit the read button so it can read from the chip. And here's the problem. It sees that 2 pins are not connected. They're not connected on purpose. 1 pin isn't accessible. There's only 7 pins on the personality chip, 7 gold fingers on the actual chip, personality chip. So one of the pins on the memory chip can't be connected. That's one of the reasons that one of those pins is not connected. The other pin that's not connected, I didn't connect it on purpose because it has power going to it. If it was connected to your programmer, you risk hurting your programmer. So that's not connected intentionally. That's why those 2 pins are not connected. And it won't read the chip unless those pins are connected. So how do you get around this? It's actually really simple. In the bottom left here, there's this options section. Just click off the pin detect button. With that unchecked, it reads the memory chip just fine. Now that it's read, I'm going to modify this because I, for demonstration purposes earlier, changed it to 0A for the personality chip ID. I'm going to change it back to 09, and I'm going to program it. Pin detect is unchecked. I'm going to hit program. And what's really nice about this device is it handles everything that you need to do, all the steps in one go, with one button click. It's erased it, it's programmed it, then it verified that the contents match what it tried to program it with to confirm that yes, the chip has been programmed. And it does it all much faster than the CH341A. Part of the reason why I really like this is how quick and it does everything with one button click. It's very easy to use. But one other thing is, if you have one of these and you're using a different memory chip, maybe one that this programmer doesn't know about, one that it can't detect, you could probably get away with selecting any other memory chip as long as it has the same size. So this is like a 25Q16 chip. So if I find another brand, in fact, we'll do that right now. Let's find another brand. Mnemonics. I want 8-pin 25Q16. Giga devices, 25Q16. SOP8, we'll select that. And if I click read, it's going to complain about two things. It's going to complain about the pin problem, so I'll uncheck that. I'll click read again. This time it's going to say the ID is wrong. That's okay, because if you uncheck, check ID, and then do a read again, it successfully reads the chip. Because it's using generic commands that almost any SPI flash memory chip will understand and respond to. So if you have a chip that this thing doesn't know about, it's okay. You can still use this device. You can still read and write to your EPROMs. It's just you have to make sure that you select another chip that has the same size. Otherwise, it's not going to read the whole thing, or it's going to read too much. So that's it. That's what I wanted to cover. That was the last thing that needed to be added to this video. Links to the OSH Park site where you can order this chip. The description on the OSH Park site has links to eBay searches where you can find the socket and the pin headers that you need to build this. If you build one, I would like to hear about it, hear if it's successful or if it didn't work. If I screwed up in some way and somehow it only works for me, I'd like to know about that too. So please feel free to share, and good luck. Have fun.